Britt Baker has been suspended from AEW. We've got an update on AEW's TV deal negotiations, and WWE are open to a former star returning. Stay tuned for all the deets. So kicking things straight off with the report that Britt Baker has been suspended from AEW. This first coming from the Wrestling Observer newsletter, who said Britt Baker's been suspended following an incident backstage at AEW Dynamite a few weeks ago. Their report stated Britt Baker was suspended for either 1 or 2 weeks and fined by the company's disciplinary committee. And then it went on to note that Baker apparently made a comment backstage about MJF, which his girlfriend Alicia Atu had overheard, and then she told him about it. He reportedly confronted her about this comment. This resulted in an internal investigation from AEW HR and the disciplinary committee, and then it continued on by saying that those at the Observer had heard that they were sympathetic toward Baker.
Yeah, additionally, Fightful Select has reported that backstage Baker exercised frustration about MJF within the women's locker room, and that word had made it back to MJF via Alicia Atu, as she had been in the room. Details are said to be he said, she said, according to the report, but it notes that there was confrontations between Baker and Atu and Baker and MJF. Now, Will Ospreay reportedly became involved and spoke with Baker at one point. The word backstage in AEW is that Baker took issue with Atu telling MJF what was said in the women's locker room. The incident reportedly took place weeks ago and has since appeared on TV, but she was legitimately suspended from the company following an investigation. So Baker, though, is still currently planned to appear and wrestle at AEW All In.
It's never nice to hear, obviously,
No.
but this sort of thing does happen from time to time in every work environment, right?
Yeah.
It's just sort of one of those things that can happen from time to time. Hopefully things are resolved and this is kind of the end of it. But ultimately, you know, we'll never really know, I guess, what's gone on.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just kind of shocking it led to a suspension, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think with any workplace, stuff like this happens, doesn't it? It's unfortunate, yeah, for sure.
It's
but
good that there's an HR department there as well to
Yep.
kind of to look into it, I guess, and investigate it internally.
Mm-hmm.
But keeping it with AEW now, moving toward the more crazy news that came out this week with the picture leaking of Shane McMahon and Tony Khan. According to the Wrestling Observer, again, Shane McMahon and Tony Khan apparently spoke when they met, spoke wrestling with each other and spoke about each other's lives, with both sides wanting to get to know each other as they'd never really met or spoken before. So that's kind of, first meeting by the sounds of it.
Yeah, well, obviously we heard reports prior to this that kind of like kicked off the whole, Shane McMahon to AEW thing. Apparently, I think Mercedes Moné and Shane were either on the same flight or saw each other at an airport. They were talking about each other. They were talking to each other, and obviously AEW came up in the conversation, and that's when people were like, Shane McMahon and AEW, and then
it's all kind of, it's snowballed horrifically from there to like, my God, what's going to happen if Shane turns up? And again, it's still in that mindset. I'm still there going, go on, just turn up. I want to see some
curiosity.
insanity.
I kind of want to see it.
A McMahon on a non-McMahon show. Shane, the best wrestler in the world.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's where the best wrestle.
It's where the best wrestle.
According to the same report, sources have told the Observer as well that despite the mass speculation about it, because Dynamite was up against the Olympics at the same time that night, and it leaked obviously on the Wednesday morning, I believe. They said the photo between McMahon and Khan in the meeting was not leaked to increase ratings for AEW Dynamite, with the idea that McMahon would show up, which was kind of the rumor that was circulating. This is clearly being leaked. This is to create buzz. Maybe Shane's going to show up even though he's not. Maybe people will watch. So Observer shooting that one down, but at the same time, just do it. Just do it. I want to see the sweatiest man alive in there. I do. I really do. Could you imagine?
I mean, I think Jack put it very well. Like, I think headline-wise, it would be insane, and I think for wrestling history, it would be insane.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of us that are very curious about how it would all play out, and maybe in the short term, it would work out. But
is music stock music anyway? You can use it. It's all great. It's fine. It's just like getting the Hardy Boys. It's
cheap.
fine. No
He's
bother.
cheap, right?
Yeah.
Very cheap to get.
Yeah. Keeping it with AEW here as well regarding the ongoing TV deal situation. Now, I've been hearing reports over the past few months now that a deal was near, a deal has been reached, a deal might not have been reached, a deal is near again, a deal might not be near. There's a window that they're kind of exclusive with, and after that window expires, AEW can then move on and maybe talk to some other people. And as per a report from Fightful Select, AEW and Warner Brothers Discovery have now left their exclusive negotiations window, which means that AEW is now actually allowed to go and speak with other companies, regarding a new TV deal in the US. This is, if Tony Khan even wanted to do so. But the report notes that Khan is currently set to meet with the Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav in Paris during the Olympics. I'd imagine it seems from everything we've heard from the outside looking in, it seems like AEW and Warner kind of have a good relationship. It seems like it's something they may want to continue. I don't particularly personally see it jumping, but then again, you never know the offers, right? You never know who's going to come up and be like, hey, we love it.
That's it, exactly. I mean, there's never any harm in shopping around and seeing what other deals you can get, and maybe that even sort of incentivizes WBD if something, does pop up. Well,
that's it, right? If they get a lucrative offer from elsewhere, then if Warner wants to keep them, Warner's going to have to match it.
Exactly, that's it.
So but then you've got all of the other stuff that comes off the back. They have to rename belts if they move. There's going to be all sorts of insanity.
I never even thought about that. Yeah, maybe.
New belt designs? The big Fox logo?
Giant Mickey Mouse head.
Yeah. Let's just do that. Yeah, Disney. Yeah, let's get Disney involved.
Just get Disney involved.
But moving over to the other side of the fence, we got some interesting news regarding WWE and the potential return of, I guess it'd be fair to say, a controversial exiting star who exited a while ago, who isn't with the company anymore.
Yeah, so although she's been heavily critical, of the company in 2024, WWE are willing to work with Ronda Rousey again, should she ever wish to return. WWE Executive Vice President of Talent Relations and Head of Communications, Chris LaGentile, has revealed. Appearing on the Sports Media podcast, LaGentile said, "We saw the news recently about she's going to be having her second child, and we're super excited for her. We love Ronda. She's been a great person to work with and on a lot of levels. And, if somebody wants to come back, it's always a conversation we're happy to have. I mean, life is very long, and, things change both behind the scenes and in front of the camera over time. And we're definitely open to have conversations when it makes sense."
Look, it's wrestling, isn't it? Yep. It's never say never. The amount of people where it's like, I'm never going back. Look at Punk. Punk is the key example. I'm never, ever going back to that company. Oh, hello, I'm back. Yes, there was a lot of drama in between all of that. But he went back eventually. But I think that the company seems to be changing. The atmosphere within the company, the morale backstage, everything seems to be doing a complete 180 from where it seemed to be not even 2 years ago now. Yeah. So it's like, I think that if the culture of the company is shifted enough for someone like Punk to want to go back happily, then maybe there is a chance that one day we could see Ronda, no matter how critical she has been of the company, potentially going back. But at the same time, it depends on Ronda, if Ronda wants to go back, right? I mean,
exactly.
Of course, before WWE, Ronda's most well known, probably the world over, outside of the wrestling bubble, for competing in UFC, Endeavor, WWE, TKO. It's all kind of merged in now. You got to think that they're going to want to kind of try and keep Ronda close as they can as an organization, TKO. Yeah. But I wouldn't be surprised if we saw her again,
No, me neither. Especially,
maybe not soon, but
As you said too, especially with the Punk stuff. Punk was obviously very outspoken about the culture within WWE.
He nearly died, right?
Yeah, so, exactly. And then he comes back and he's like, this is completely different. And he's like outwardly just praising it now too, and how much
Jesse
it's changed
Ventura
for the
there
best.
the other night.
Yeah, exactly. So again, I mean, as you said, you can never say never, and maybe it is something that we do see down the line.
I reckon so. It'd be nice to see Ronda again. I know that a lot of people have differing opinions on Ronda. The sort of the big final match with Shayna was a bit missed the mark, I guess, for a lot of people. But for me, I was interested in seeing if there was any further that could go, any more it could be refined, any other sort of avenues that could go down. Maybe that is something we're going to see more of one day. But again, if Ronda comes back, then fair play. And if she doesn't want to, then all power to her.
Absolutely.
That's it for your third dose of lovely, Nelly said bumper weekend wrestling news. You know what I usually do. God. That was it for your third dose of wrestling news for today. We may be back later on if anything else drastic breaks. But if not, in the meantime, stay safe. If the weather's nice where you are, get outside. Soak up some of that vitamin D.
A few Swifties.
A few Swifties, yeah. Kind of kestrel.
Yeah, kind of kestrel. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, get on the park.